The films Joker and Taxi Driver are two different examples of films under the psychological thriller genre. With them, I will be discussing different ways social and historical factors play into the filmmaking process. Joker, directed by Todd Phillips, follows a troubled social outcast named Arthur Fleck who struggles to fit into society. As the film progresses, his descent into madness becomes more and more reality.
I'm sorry, what's that? That's very funny, Murray. You know, I'm also a comedian. Would you like to hear a joke? Yeah? All of you? Okay. Knock, knock.
He gets fired from his job as a rental clown, delusionally falls into a fictional relationship, and begins to kill people due to violent impulses. He builds his identity off of pity, and through the story he is mocked, bullied, beaten up, and abandoned by the people around him. Taxi Driver, directed by Martin Scorsese, follows the story of a similarly socially outcasted taxi driver named Travis Buckle. His views of the world are based in large around the idea that people are trashy, and decides he needs to step up and teach bad people their lessons. Through the film, he buys multiple guns, kills a man trying to rob a store, and attempts an assassination of a presidential candidate. A main focus in the film is Travis trying to be the hero for a 12-year-old prostitute, whom he meets earlier on in the film when she jumped into his taxi trying to escape a man who is presumably assaulting her. Travis makes the decision to kill her pimp and a couple of men using her for sex, in a bloody and brutal finale to the film. While these two films are produced in completely different time periods, the period in which they are set is identical. Taxi Driver is set in New York in the mid to late 1970s, and Joker is set in Gotham City, which, although is fictional, takes heavy inspiration from New York in the late 1970s. The portrayal of these settings is very distinct and similar, and has a grainy overlay with an emphasis on yellow, red, and brown color schemes. The filth in both these cities is also exaggerated greatly, likely to exemplify more negative aspects of society. To analyze the character's mental state in the most accurate way, it is important to look at their actions in solitude. While alone, the extent of these two men's insanity becomes more clear. While Travis is shown in his free time wielding guns and talking to himself in the mirror.
Talking to me? Well, I'm the only one here. Who the fuck do you think you're talking to? Oh, yeah? Huh? Okay. Huh?
Arthur is shown doing chilling, exotic dancing. These different approaches show the viewers the big differences in these characters. Taxi Driver's main character is full of hatred and resentment and shows subtle hints at racism and violent desires. Through his character arc, he loses more and more of his social skills and degrades to the point where he takes his anger out on society by killing men. In the beginning, Joker's main character strives his hardest to be happy and see the good things in life, which is a major theme and key part of his character arc.
She always tells me to smile and put on a happy face. She says I was put here to spread joy and laughter.
Quickly, though, he gives this hope up, as he realizes how terribly he is treated by society, and fully snaps with the killing of 3 men on a subway. This change within him alters his entire personality and has him focus on anger and resentment towards the people who treated him wrong. This includes his longtime hero, the talk show host Franklin Murray, who he kills after he is invited on the show due to a viral mockery of Arthur's comedy routines.
How about another joke, Murray?
No, I think we've had enough of your jokes.
What do you get
I don't think so.
when you cross
I think
a
we're
mentally
done
ill
with your
loner
jokes.
with
That's
a
it.
society that abandons him and treats him like trash?
Call the police,
I'll
man.
tell you what you get.
Call the police.
Get what you fucking deserve.
This also includes his own mother, whom he smothers to death after learning of her lies and abuse towards him. Ironically, though, both these characters end up filling the roles of vigilantes, and by letting their anger and hatred out against society, they finally become socially idolized. Despite their similarities, the general reception of these films were distinctly different, mostly due to the change in the social climate between the 1970s and 2019. Upon its initial release in 1973, Taxi Driver instantly received extremely high accolades and dozens of awards for its acting and film techniques. Due to the United States at the time being a place of less domestic terrorism instigated by mentally ill individuals, there was very little concern from the general public of the film having a negative social backlash. However, only 9 years after its release, Taxi Driver found itself in the middle of a major controversy. A man by the name of John Hinckley Jr. attempted the assassination of former United States President Ronald Reagan. When interrogated, he cited the movie Taxi Driver as his motivation, and said that the scene depicting Travis's attempted assassination on the fictional presidential candidate Charles Palantine was a major inspiration to what he was trying to achieve. More than 4 decades later, the film Joker was released. It shows very distinct differences in social reception, with most commentary on the film being extremely polarized. While the acting, directing, musical score, and cinematography were all given praise, the dark tone, portrayal of mental illness, and handling of violence divided social responses. Joker also generated concerns regarding real-world violence, and fear rose to the extent that on September 18, 2019, the official United States Army distributed an email warning service members of potential violence at theaters screening this film, and noting the Joker's popularity among the incel community, a group of people characterized by social resentment and misogyny. There was also a belief that the film would resonate with the people associated with mass shootings, and many movie theaters deployed armed security guards to showings of Joker. The extreme response and fear surrounding the release of the film are likely due to the heavy media coverage of violence in 2019, as well as social media allowing for widespread misinformation and fear among the general public. Many took the film as a reminder that society is riddled with men like the Joker, and look at it more as a warning rather than what the film is at its core, a social commentary giving the perspective of a mentally insane individual.